permanent opponents, the quote unquote rivals, whatever you want to call it, the permanent yearly opponents for each SC team. Now that we're moving to a 9-game SC schedule, and most people predicted this, we ended up with Alabama, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Alabama obviously makes sense. Alabama Tennessee is the oldest rivalry in the SEC, one of the oldest in the country. Kentucky and Vanderbilt, it makes sense, I think, from a perspective of just history, right? Some people are saying that, oh, that's too easy for Tennessee, blah, blah, blah. There's different opinions. Give us your take. How did you feel about this announcement and our three opponents?
Um, I like the three opponents they chose. I think it was the right three. I do have to correct you. Auburn and Georgia is the oldest rivalry in the SEC, by the way. But we are close with them. So yeah, Alabama Tennessee was obvious, right? You have to keep the third Saturday in October. Vanderbilt Tennessee was obvious. The question was, are they going to give us Kentucky or someone else? There was like discussion on this like a year ago, Blake, where it was someone not predicted, but I think it was like reported that it might be South Carolina. That would have been a really weird choice. That wouldn't have made no sense to me personally. My debate was Kentucky or Florida. The Florida game in the '90s, Blake, was the pinnacle of
The
college
game.
football. I mean, it was one
Yep.
of the greatest rivalries in that era. Even leading into early 2000s as well. So that was the only one where it was like, okay, that's a debate, but you also have to look at it from the perspective of the other teams. Like Kentucky,
Right.
their obvious like Alabama rivalry was us. Like they're sitting there saying, "Oh, it's for
Yeah.
sure Tennessee." Like that's the one that they
Right.
marked down. That's like, "Oh, it's definitely going to be the Vols." Like, so
Yeah.
you have to look at it from the perspective of the other teams. Um, so they gave us Kentucky. I will say, Blake, this is one of the better draws in the SEC. We have to be pretty happy
Oh yeah.
about this. I mean, we knew we were going to get Vanderbilt, so that was a free win every year. But the Kentucky win was like in question. But we get the Kentucky win every year as well, so that's sweet, man. That's 2 free wins every single season, and for the rest of time, by the way. And I am not being sarcastic. Until Josh Heupel leaves to go somewhere else or retires from coaching, we will win those games every single season. So I'm happy with it, man. I'm ultimately happy with this. Even though it was the expected result, some of the rest of them in the SEC were kind of weird. But like, because again, some of these teams don't have big rivals, man. I mean, Vanderbilt outside of us
Right.
doesn't really have a big rival, so they just kind of threw them random. They threw them Mississippi State and Auburn, which is like, what?
Yeah,
That
that was
doesn't.
very weird.
They used, listen, what they did with Vanderbilt, since we're talking about our 3 rivals each year, right? Our rivals. What they did with Vanderbilt is they balanced out other people's schedules. That's what they did.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they saw Auburn. They got the South's oldest rivalry with Georgia, and then they got the Iron Bowl with Alabama. And they're like, well, geez, we can't give them someone else tough, so we'll give them Vanderbilt to balance it out. That's how they use some of these teams that aren't very good. Nobody can make sense of Missouri's rivalries. I mean, because it made sense to me because there's some of the Western teams that they're playing. But like I think A&M was really confused why they got Missouri. They're like, what? Why did we get Missouri? Again, you have to give these teams somebody because they're not historical programs. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think they did a pretty good job. I think they did a pretty good job with this. It's just tough, man. Like when you invite these teams in the SEC, you have some of
Yeah.
these things, right? You have some of these issues, but yeah, yeah, I like our
When
3.
you invite schools like Missouri,
Yeah,
who is not
correct.
a part of the South, not a part of the Southeast, doesn't make sense in the
And
SC,
everybody
doesn't
keeps
have a
wondering why
history.
they're in the conference. They're not wondering why
Exactly.
they got their 3 opponents. They're wondering, what? Wait, why are they in the conference? They're
Wait a
here.
minute,
So
Missouri's in the SC?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um, I do enjoy this, Austin. Usually, it's me that's giving the bulletin board material on this
Oh, it's
podcast.
Vandy and
So,
Kentucky.
I
We're not worried about them. Come on.
yeah, exactly.
We
No,
don't worry about
no,
those teams
no.
here.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about. I mean, shoot, I'm on board. I love it. You nonchalantly throwing Missouri under the bus. Now I have to add on to the bulletin board material and defend myself on your correction about the quote unquote oldest rivalry. Who cares about Auburn and Georgia, brother? Like,
Dude,
let's be real.
people in Auburn and Georgia care about that a lot. So
Correct. People in Auburn and Georgia, right? Look, the prestige is Alabama and Tennessee have infinitely more prestige than Auburn and Georgia. I'm just gonna period. Okay. I get the recent history. Alabama and Tennessee is a more important rivalry.
what about the Iron
Okay.
Bowl?
I'm not talking about the Iron Bowl.
No,
I'm talking
I'm
about Alabama and
asking. I'm
Tennessee.
asking because I agree with you. I think the third
Well,
Saturday in October
here,
is the second most important rivalry in college football. Or no,
okay.
in SEC. In SEC. Third most important in
I
college football.
I will answer your question by quoting Alabama's own GOAT, Nick Saban.
Okay.
Nick Saban
I know where
himself
you're going.
said that he knew that in Alabama people cared about the Tennessee game
That's not what he said.
before they
That's not what he said.
okay.
He said his players had an easier time getting up for the Tennessee game than the Auburn game. That's what he
So
said.
what does that mean? That
It
means his players cared more about the Tennessee
it told
games.
me
That's
his
what I'm
players are
saying.
bullies because at the time that they were beating up on us, we sucked. Okay. Now, because at the end, Nick was having a trouble getting them to understand what was going on with that rivalry because they weren't playing so good at the end. Okay. So I'll
Yeah.
just leave it at that. I think they were just a bunch of bullies and that they had no problem beating up on. And I was gonna take a shot at a former player, but I'm gonna take a shot at a former coach because I like the player now of the Jeremy Pruitt led Tennessee Volunteers. Yeah, I mean, I would assume it's pretty easy to go in and beat that squad. Like, give me a break. I don't know. I remember him making that comment, and it was, you know, it's hard to interpret. I will say, you know, it's hard to beat an in-state rivalry, man. It's hard to beat that. With that being said, though, the biggest rivalry in college football is also not an in-state rivalry. It's Michigan, Ohio
Yeah.
State.
Correct.
But
Which
yeah, I
might
agree
be
with you.
one of the biggest rivalries in all
Yes.
sports.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think, but I do think the third Saturday in October is the second biggest in the SEC, just behind the Iron Bowl. The Iron Bowl, it's just nuts, dude. How they treat how those fans treat the Iron Bowl is insane. But let's not get it twisted. The third Saturday in October is back, dude. It is back. It is a rivalry again. We beat them the last two out of the last 3 years, and you know I don't know. Hey, listen. I'm happy with the whole draw right now, Blake. I'm happy with getting Bama too, okay? Because right now under Kalen DeBozo, that's barbecue chicken, brother.
Free chicken, as they say, and we're gonna see this year. We're taking that trip down to Bryant Denny to get that monkey off our back, beat him in Tuscaloosa again. So yeah, it's looking good. And I will say that now that we're back where we need to be, and Nicholas Saban is no longer down there, the third Saturday in October is gonna start getting the respect it deserves, including from my own brother.
I called it
In terms of
second behind the Iron
listen,
Bowl,
listen, I get it. Iron Ball in state, you know,
dude.
blah blah blah. Some bozo killed a tree one
Yeah,
time.
The
Got it.
bozo killed a tree. That's like a 150
That's
year old tree
brother.
that dude killed.
Listen, in the military, we call that a target of opportunity. Okay, that's just because he's in the same state. He's just down the road. Okay, it was easy. Okay,
Okay, gotcha.
we know Alabamans. You know they're. It's difficult for them to if it's tough for them to make a trip to Tennessee. Okay, they like to stay in their little podunk towns. Okay, so
It's
I'm just saying it
by the
was
way.
easy. It was an easy situation.
Okay, all right, that's fair. That's fair. By the way, did you see the news? We're talking about football, but did you see Bruce Pearl retired from basketball
Yes, yes. Bruce. Speaking of Auburn, yes.
and was replaced by
Yeah,
his son? That was crazy, dude.
yeah.
Didn't see that
That
coming.
was a little crazy.
Don't know why it happened. Gonna wait to find out what happened. I love Bruce Pearl, so don't have anything bad to say about the great Bruce Pearl. But yeah, that was interesting. Also, Auburn fans, you would think, the enemy of my enemy is my friend Blake, but some Auburn fans, especially those bozos on Twitter, they've been
Oh,
getting on my nerves, by the way.
oh,
So like
dude, I know.
like come on, we hate the same two teams. We hate Georgia and Alabama. Let's hate them together. Let's be
Yeah.
united in that instead of taking a shot at our quarterback. And by the way, looking like a complete idiot doing it, man. I know
Oh,
nobody
yeah.
knows what I'm
It
talking about, but I can't
yeah, for
stand that clip.
for those of you, listen, brother, you fell for their ploy. It's
I
called
did.
engagement
I
farming,
know,
okay? It's
man.
called engagement
And I
farming.
took it.
They were just trying to get the engagement. It's a cheap trick. Folks, you will not see that on the Vol Talk podcast. We will never do engagement farming and cheap tricks, okay? We might poke fun at Nico
Yeah, but we're just telling the
until the end of
truth.
time, but we're just telling the truth,
Yeah.
right? So anyway, what Austin's referring to is there's some Auburn channel that went on Twitter or went channel, said that Joey Aguilar was going to be the worst quarterback in the SC or whatever, and that it was going to
And they made a
be that
huge
Nico,
mistake letting Nico go. It was
yeah,
such a huge
huge mistake
mistake.
letting Nico
And then,
go.
dude, they
So,
clung on when people found the video after Aguilar lit up Georgia. People, of course, Vols fans find a way. By the way, Vols fans find a way. If you say something about like the Vols, they will find you, no matter how little people watch your podcast. By the way, more Vols fans have seen your podcast now than Auburn fans. By the way, but anyway, point being is they found this and then they just laid into them. And
oh
then
yeah,
all they clung to, Blake, all the Auburn's fans clung to is, well, we're still undefeated. Well, you're not anymore, idiot. So come on, man. Like, it's okay to be wrong. If that was your genuine prediction, it's okay to be wrong. Say, hey,
own
hand
it.
up. I got this one wrong. I didn't do my research. I wasn't good enough as an analyst because people who did the research, like us, like we got it right. Like, because
Who's
we did the work. We actually
yeah,
researched the situation. It's okay to get it wrong. Just admit, okay, I got this one wrong. I'm going to delete the tweet. There's no shame in it.
no shame in admitting that you were wrong, but they doubled down again, trying to get that engagement farming. But yeah, dude, I don't know, and I know Vol Twitter is infamous among all fan
Ruthless.
bases,
Ruthless.
ruthless. But a lot of these fans are starting to get on my ever loving nerve, brother.
Yeah,
From Auburn
dude.
fans to Georgia fans to Bama
And
fans
then
to
Vandy,
Vandy fans.
Vandy think they're riding their high right now after beating Georgia Southern. It's unbelievable. I've never seen a fan base celebrate cupcakes like Vanderbilt's celebrating right now. By the way, South
Well,
Carolina
brother,
sucks too.
cupcake,
So
cupcake.
I don't know, man. I can't wait to beat Vanderbilt, and I don't know how the rest of our season is going to play out, but we're beating Vanderbilt.
And Kentucky.
Oh yeah, well, that's a
And I
given.
believe we're
Kentucky
on the
fans are
road
in
against
hiding.
Kentucky, right?
Oh yeah, but they're in hiding. No, they're
Ken-
they're saying
Yeah.
nothing right now. They're currently in the mines.
They're in the coal mines, absolutely. But I mean, yeah. So going back to this rivalry stuff and the permanent opponents, yes, it made sense. Of course, I as a '90s kid myself, I'm devastated about losing the yearly Florida game
Yeah,
because especially now that we're
same.
back on track, it's so frustrating. What's frustrating to me is that we're just now coming out of our decade plus of dysfunction, right? Where we had just completely inept administration, chancellors, athletic directors, all the way down to coaches. Um, and now we're just now coming out of that finally, and then now this happens where we don't, get a chance to quickly even the series against Florida, and Florida's in a
Oh,
slump. And then even with Georgia, right? Georgia, now they get to sit on this, streak and blah blah blah. And, and I get Georgia's not going anywhere in terms of how good they are right now with Kirby Smart, unless something crazy happens there. But it is frustrating to lose those games. But at the end of the day, I'm on board with you. Free wins in
yeah,
Kentucky and Vanderbilt,
exactly.
and what's increasingly looking like a free yearly win
Oh, geez, don't say
against the Crimson
yearly.
Tide.
Well, at least it's going to be, biannual. We'll be beating Bama for sure. So, okay, but another thing is though with the Florida game, that does put a little bit more juice on the Florida game. Even though how the new scheduling will work is we'll play each team twice, like every other year, which is kind of nice. Like we're going to be seeing more of
Yeah.
the SEC teams more often. But let's end on the Florida series on a high note, like the
Yes.
annual series. Let's please end on a high note
Please.
and just put the nail in the coffin with Billy Napier, man. Put him out of his misery, because literally the only reason he's still getting a check right now, outside of his buyout check, which they'll have to be writing very soon. But yeah, I mean, let's please end that series on a high note, because we were better than Florida. That's another thing, and
Yes.
that's also, talking about Mississippi State. We're also better than Mississippi State. I know there's a lot of negative
Exactly.
Vols fans, and they're upset about the Georgia game, but people, just look at the betting line, okay? And now I know the betting line's not perfect, but we're better than these teams, okay? So just take care of business. And I know it's a swamp. It's the big bad swamp. Casey Clausen hasn't been the only quarterback of this century that's won there. I get all that, but we can beat them this year, okay? We can beat them this year, and we will.
And we absolutely have to, like you said, to end the series on a high note and snap the streak in the swamp as well, to end that annual series. It's gonna be sad. Again, I'm gonna miss the Florida game, but you got to have Alabama, and then no one's gonna be upset about getting to play Kentucky and Vanderbilt every year.
No.
So